Welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint. I am James Just. With me today is Mr. Alexander Vazquez,
Thank you.
Host of Capital City Radio himself.
Yes.
Alexander, there's been a lot of goings on down at the downtown here at not the Capitol, at City Hall. And you know, the mayor candidate Flo Cofer has opened up a can of worms that I am ecstatic she has opened up.
Right.
But I'm not sure she knew what can she was kicking.
No, she didn't. And, you know, and the story is pretty black and white. I mean, it's just good old bribery, okay? She's running for office. She's running against McCarty. And it's getting towards November. These calls come in late October. And everybody wants to make sure if whoever wins, that Howard Chan's contract is extended. And so that had to be agreed upon. Even Steinberg came on this, trying to get these two together, saying, hey, no matter who wins, I really would like you to support, you know, extend Chan's contract. So now he's involved. The city council's involved. Jay King, who has, he's the president of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, he's involved. A business person named Pektovich, he's involved. He just sued the city of Sacramento and got 26 mil out of it. He owns that property right near Sacramento City College. And he's involved. And I'm going, this came out of a small little article in the Bee. Okay, nobody really picked up on it except this one young person. His name is Joe Rubin. He's an investigative reporter for the Bee, and he's done a great job writing this. And hopefully, I'll have him on my show. And but he is writing a very detailed, fair, and balanced. He just tells the facts and let us decide. He's not taking sides on this at all. You can tell by his writing. But for her to do this, you got to think, what is Sacramento doing? What is our government doing? Now who's the party that's a threat to democracy? Now we have that democracy issue here. Fairness.
Yeah.
You know, why is everybody hiding behind this? Why is nobody talking about this?
And that's a strange thing. This should be a big, huge story, and yet it's literally one guy at the Bee talking about it.
Yes.
And this is alleged corruption. And I know we've all kind of heard the public. I happen to know people who have had similar stories, personally, personal similar stories. So we've kind of discussed it. Some have been discussed personally. Some you can find on social media, the stories of the same kind of stuff. So this isn't just some one-off accusation, one-off, you know, it's all alleged at this point. But, you know, this has been alleged by more than one person in more than one place. But, yeah, Flo Cofer went and kicked over the hornet's nest, and I'm hoping for the best for her, but, you know.
Yeah, you know, I didn't care for her that much. And whether she did this out of guts and righteousness, or she missed being out of the public now, and she wants to get back in. You know, she was used to all this attention she was getting, and now she's got more attention than she'll ever need. Okay. Yeah. Either she's going to be ran out of town, or she's going to be the next mayor of Sacramento.
You know, that's a strange thing. I actually didn't vote for the mayor. I didn't vote for either one of them.
No.
I chose not to vote on the mayor race. But she was too far, her politics were too far left. I actually thought she was an honorable person, but her politics were too far left. And, you know, McCarty is kind of the other way. I don't think he's honorable at all, but his politics are, he's a finger wagger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what we got here, you remember the old Who songs? We have a new boss, same as the old boss, that type of thing. Well, what we have here also is that we have same old dog, different flea. Yeah. Steinberg, City Hall, State Capitol, back. So same thing.
You're kind of plugged in, Alex. Is Sacramento becoming a political machine town? Are we becoming like Oakland, like San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Boston, that kind of thing, where it's a political machine?
This woman, she exposed all that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Joe Rubin, he is writing it. He's still on the story. Okay. I talked to him yesterday. He's still on the story. And he goes, oh, no, there's more coming. But I just can't do it all at one point, all at one time. And so she, like you just said, she kicked a can of worms. She opened a can of worms that there is no way in hell this is going to go away. And to tell you the truth, I want to see people in orange jumpsuits. Okay, this is criminal. This makes us look bad. We are supposed to be the capital. We are the capital of California, but we're supposed to have ethics.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to who's a threat to democracy. This is a threat to democracy.
Yeah. I want to see transparency, and then with that, I'll see how many orange jumpsuits
I say order about 20 of them.
Well, you know, Richard Fields talking about tariffs this week. We're moving on. So
Okay.
Richard Fields is talking about tariffs this week. So let's see what Richard has to say about issues with the issue for Richard Fields this week is tariffs.
Hi, this is Richard Fields with this week's Report from the Fields. Anyone without ideological blinkers can see that Russia is winning its war of conquest against Ukraine. And anyone who actually pays attention to history understands that the United States had a not too small part in setting the stage for instigating that invasion. During the Obama administration, U.S. aid in cooperation with the CIA and probably several of the other 17 U.S. intelligence agencies encouraged a color revolution against the duly elected government of Ukraine because said government was more interested in allying itself with Russia than joining NATO. Millions have died in this war and billions spent. Many of those billions from U.S. taxpayers. The Trump administration is doing the right thing in seeking to negotiate an end to this war. Because they are peace lovers, right? Well, probably not. The same administration is threatening to annex Greenland, reclaim the Panama Canal, and make Canada the 51st state. I'm guessing that Canada, Denmark, which owns Greenland, and Panama may not peaceably agree to these Trumpian plans. Could even mean war in our hemisphere and on our continent where we don't have protective moats like the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans and the Gulf of, I refuse to use the Trump and Google Map term, so the Gulf of Mexico. And now achieving peace in the Middle East by seizing the Gaza Strip, ethnically cleansing it of Palestinians, and building a Mara Gaza Mediterranean resort. First, no Arab country or any other country has or will step forward to welcome 2 million refugees. And we know Trump's attitude on immigrants. Second, even if there were a place for that many displaced people, can you think of a better way to achieve generational enmity to the United States than to forcibly evacuate people from their homes and livelihoods? Not to mention the ungodly costs that would be involved. Removing unexploded ordnance and other detritus of war, billions to build and fortify the resorts, and yes, fortification would absolutely be necessary. Trump is used to his own bankruptcies. This could be the camelback breaking the straw that causes the bankruptcy of the United States. This is the kind of hubristic nation-building nonsense that would make George W. Bush's invasion of Iraq look like playing dominoes. That's this week's Report from the Fields. I'm Richard Fields. See you again next week.
Yeah, I agree with Richard on tariffs if I assume Trump's goal is actually to impose the tariffs, which I don't actually think his goal is to impose the tariffs. Because if we look at like Canada imposes all kinds of tariffs on
Right.
United States products. China is famous for not allowing other countries into their markets. And so in a sense, our tariffs that Trump is imposing could be considered retaliatory tariffs themselves, which of course is because other countries are imposing tariffs on us. So this tariffs thing, it is nice to finally see Democrats understand that tariffs are a tax and the end consumer pays all taxes. Of course, they don't really, they don't apply that thought process to all the taxes they support. So I don't know. I have a hard time getting all worked up personally about this tariff issue.
Well, a lot of things on tariffs, I think before when Trump announced that he was going to run again, It's like he gave out notice to American retail and everything like that. Stock up. Just stock up. I need to keep the prices down for a little bit, okay? We're going to suffer, but I don't want to suffer a lot. But this tariff thing, which I have a hard time understanding a lot of it, but it was his way of saying to the world, the sheriff's back. I'm back, okay? And we're going to be playing a whole different ball game. I'm new and improved. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know the theory of walk softly and carry a big stick? Well,
right.
The thing is, you have to be willing to use the big stick for it to be worth anything.
Right.
And so what essentially Trump has done is, yeah, people have been walking around carrying a big stick. I'm willing to use it if you guys mess with me.
Right.
And so you can kind of understand, in a sense, if that's the messaging, then you can understand that.
Yeah.
It's not just the sheriff back is in town. It's you guys can no longer take advantage of us.
Right.
And I'll deal fairly. But that means I'll deal fairly. You know, you push on me, I'll push back on you.
Right.
I think, hopefully that's kind of what it is. And I suspect personally, but I'm also not too worked up over the tariff.
No.
There's so many tariffs and taxes and governments passing taxes to manipulate your lives. How am I supposed to get upset over tariffs when, you know, California, the people down the dome do it every day and making my life more expensive, and I'm supposed to get upset over tariffs?
Right.
Yeah. So, but Trump is making moves all across Europe. You know, Europe's angry at Trump at the moment because he's trying to make this peace deal, and he's said, no, you guys don't even get to be in the room.
Right. And I believe the reason why he said that is because this also exposes Europe, and we go back to NATO again and everything like that. Where's your armies? All right? Your people are going to get so mad at what I just said that they're going to start demanding, France, Italy, and all these other places, do we have to impose the draft? Because we don't have armies to protect Ukraine. We don't have armies going into Middle East. So he's like this strategic strategist that uses marketing and notices and giving them that notice of, you got 30 days to think about this.
Yeah, Europe has sent some money, a handful of things, but they're not really have any skin in the game.
No.
And they want us, thousands upon miles away, to kind of take the lead on protecting Ukraine. And and at some point you go, you know, we're willing to step in and fill a gap, but at some point you guys have to actually take care of your own continent. Actually,
yeah, that's absolutely right. Because right now, him and Zelensky are not getting along, and they're saying things to each other and all this other stuff. But he also said, hey, I'm going to deal with Putin first. I'll deal with you later. But if I have to deal with you later, if you want anything, we want these mineral rights that are right on the outskirts or right in your territory. This will be more to cover all the costs that we have given you, and this war seems to be going nowhere.
Yeah, it's a stalemate, which of course,
right.
And that just means this is where Trump is correct. This is a stalemate. Now you're just burning bodies and things. That's all you're doing at this point. And at some stage you have to say, all right, a deal has to get done, because we cannot just keep killing people and burning things and destroying everything that touches, destroying the lives of the taxpayers who have to pay for it, the lives of the people who are in Ukraine and Western Russia. At some point, this has got to stop.
Right.
And you can't just keep feeding you can't have that World War I mentality where you're just going to keep throwing people over the breaches.
Yeah, and when we're in the process of cutting big government and trying to save money, and having people keep more money in their pockets from their labor, then we start sending more money for more killing. That it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And we're going to move on, because you've brought up people keeping more money in their pockets. And Trump is, you know, whether you think he has the ability to do this or not, I'm kind of heartened that the Trump administration is trying to end New York City's congestion pricing. Now, understand this. New York City wants to charge poor people $9 to drive to work.
Yes.
Or force them onto the subway, which is the real goal here. It's they want to force poor people on the subway so rich people can drive uncrowded streets, and the poor schleps can have to go on the subway to go to work.
Right.
That's what they really want.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with, it's not even about money. This is just about the
social engineering.
It's social engineering. They want people on their bicycles and on the transit, and they're going to force them to do it because it's too dang expensive for poor people to drive to work, despite the fact that most of them want to because they already do.
Unless Trump has a lot of money in the cab business, and I doubt he does, because that's all you're going to see. Look at in this picture alone. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 cabs.
Yeah.
Okay, and now these guys are if they're going to pay to go back and forth, then I see New York saying, okay, well, you have to pay a year pass, and that's going to be $50,000 or whatever the case may be. It's a shakedown.
Well, and this whole thing at the congestion pricing and the congestion is a cause of economic turmoil, or there's a
climate.
There's a cost of economic turmoil. But the problem is, it doesn't actually. If you think about it, it doesn't actually pan out, because the problem with congestion is that it takes you longer to get where you need to go than it could if there was no congestion. Okay, fair enough. But now you're going to put me on a form of transport that is less efficient for me. I now have to go walking to a bus or walking to the transit, and then go walk. It saves you time. No, it's not saving you time. And if you have any kind of complicated life where you have to go other places, oh my God, public transport, even in some place like New York City, is inconvenient. That's why there's so many dang taxis.
Right.
So this notion that they think we can solve everything by walking in public transport is just absolutely flippin' absurd.
It is. I mean, take San Francisco. Take care. What did the city just do? They're debating about this bridge over the American River going from Sacramento downtown to South Natomas or North Natomas.
Yeah, I think it's the 5th Street, the rail yard extension. Or something like that.
Yeah. And so I'm going, but yet you want the light rail to go up there, you want people to walk on there, and you want bikes to go up there, but you don't want cars to go up there. Cars are the ones that make people go to work and do things, and commerce is being done. It's not so much. The congestion comes from density. We got too many people in one spot.
The congestion comes from, it's just like congestion at Disneyland, right? You run into congestion anywhere. I went to the grocery store the other day on a Sunday, and it was congested. It took me longer to get through the lines than it would have if I'd gone on a Tuesday evening. That's just called life.
Right.
Yeah, on occasion you want to get somewhere, and there's other people who want to do the same thing, and you're going to have to, navigate that. And yes, is it congestion? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No. Does it cost the economy anything? No, it does not, because this notion that you should be able to get anywhere you want to go without ever running into any kind of problems or issues or be slowed down is absurd.
Yes, and anytime I see a city council person or a supervisor talk about this, I go, when I see you on light rail, when I see your butt on a bike, when I see you walking or on these damn scooters, okay, then I may consider it, but no.
Well, when I see, we work here in a building with Parks and Rec, and and on occasion, Park and Rec, they put all their little stuff, they put it in a car, and they go off to a location to do an event. Great, fine, but why aren't they taking a public transport?
Yeah.
I would have to. They want me to take public transport to do the same kind of thing, so why aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not asking the police or the fire anybody to take public, but unessential things that are can be done. Why not?
I think the tree huggers and the lefties and the progressives and all this other stuff, I think they've really lost their mind.
I think they're emoting, not thinking.
Yes.
I think is the thing. All right, so we're going to, one more, oh God, somehow this is a Trump show tonight. I've tend to avoid that. I don't know how this happened, Alex. I'm blaming you, Alexander.
Okay, thank you.
Solar in red states. The press is alleging that Trump's funding freezes are causing panic in red states because of, solar in red states have taken off largely because of subsidies. And I would actually be heartened by this if I was a leftist. It means Trump isn't picking and choosing his friends to support. He's just making choices, and if it hurts people who supported him, well, then it hurts people who supported him.
Right.
If it hurts people who didn't support him, well, then it hurts people who, and I'm using air quotes here, and hurts, because it's long term. Not having subsidies will help these things.
Yeah, because being in the trades that I used to, I have yet to see a solar anything work on a house smoothly. There's always something wrong, and it's never the sun, okay? It's the people who installed it, the quality of the material, and the people operating it, the homeowners. Okay, and Sun's doing fine. They're doing what it's doing what it's supposed to do. But subsidies, you have to have some of that, I believe, because there are so many repairs that get done, that have to be done, and maintenance on your roof, because the roofs are not designed to put up panels.
And that is a thing that no one really talks about is the solar panels aren't put up and forget for 20 years.
No.
They have to be maintained. And
Yes, they do.
Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
All right, we've got 5 or 6 minutes left, so we're going to kind of move on quickly.
Okay.
I wanted to get this next one. Democrats are fighting against Trump's government overreach,
Right.
and I'm going to explain why we don't care. All right, so California's AG and Democrats, they're kind of trying to fight a path for fighting against Trump's government overreach. Or in this particular case, he's claiming that overreach is, the reduction of bureaucracy is a government overreach, which you can complain about it, but I'm not sure how you can say that's a government overreach. You can
Right.
say that he's doing it improperly. You can make all those arguments,
Right.
fine, but don't tell me that's government overreach, right?
No, he is the president.
That is technically his job is
Right.
to manage the executive bureaucracy, and you can say it's wrong. You can say he's doing it wrong. You can all that. I'll listen to you, but don't
Right.
give me this overreach nonsense. But I want to tell you why we don't care. If you guys can bring up the next one, the reason we don't care is because the government has declared here in California that bees can be fish.
Really?
If you want to regulate your land, it is now, a court has decided, this is a couple years ago, and I don't think it's been overturned yet. It will eventually be. But the government, bureaucrats decided that we want to regulate this thing. The rules, the laws we have don't allow us to regulate bees because bees aren't part of the list.
Right.
And so in order for us to regulate bees, we have to declare that bees are a fish. And a judge bought this nonsense. And you want to know why people like me don't care that Trump is ripping down the bureaucracy? This is an example. This is a silly example, but it's not an isolated case. This happens time and time and time again, where a guy was thrown in jail because he was plowing his yard and he ran over a mouse. And
Right.
the mouse a mouse was a protected species. Despite the fact that there was 4 of them, it was never going to survive. Most species don't survive.
Right.
Most species die before they have any chance at survival. And this is one of those things. Some off-breed mouse
Right.
got run over by a plow and he died. Guy got put in jail for it. And these are the kind of things that why people like me don't care that Trump has taken a chainsaw to the bureaucracy. I just don't care.
Right.
Because I have seen far too much of this nonsense.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of it in the trades. Okay, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's amazing how some of the Democrats, I don't know where they find these people, but they have to find them in the universities, like in environmental or science stuff, where they could actually have an expert go in front of a subcommittee or something like that and say, we are going to put scales on that bee and make it a fish.
Yeah, you're going to use some Star Trek type science language
Right.
to come in and tell a judge, and the judge says, "Yeah, you're full of nonsense, but
It sounds good.
It sounds good enough, and the theoretical goal is good, so I'm going to approve it."
Right.
Not hey, take this back to the legislature and have them add bees to your list.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
Right.
But you've got this is California. The legislature will change this law. Why don't you just go to the legislature and say, can you add this version of insects for us so we can regulate bees?
Yeah, because they're going to have to discuss it. And so the Republicans are going to say, you guys are full of bees.
But if you want to put them on the endangered species list,
Go ahead.
Then actually go to the legislature and
Yep.
have the legislature put them on the endangered species list, or give your legislature give you the power to when bees are. So they can't. It's this nonsense that you went to the courts, did an end run around everything, just so you could regulate some guy's land. And that was the real goal. They wanted to regulate the way someone was using his land. They didn't have the legal right to do it, and so they came up with bees or fish. And that's kind of the nonsense. Now, Californians are wondering, well, some Californians anyway, not me, are wondering what will happen to their tax dollars after DOJ's federal cuts. I need to break this to you guys, Californians, for a second here. There is no money. This is borrowed money. They're not. This is not money you sent.
No,
this is
no.
borrowed money.
Right.
You are putting less money on the credit card. is what is happening. So there is no money to come back to you. And I know they've got this $5,000 Doge refund thing they're talking about. That's silly. There is no money.
Right.
We're not talking real money yet. We're talking about borrowed money. And so this notion that California, what happens to our tax dollars? This is future tax dollars they're trying to save.
Right.
This is, you goofballs.
Yeah, well, and because this just happened, okay? How long has this dude been in office now?
Not even a month.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, okay?
Oh, maybe it's a month now. Maybe it's a month
yeah,
today.
maybe it is. But I'm going, the guy he's stirring up the country club, okay? These ideas are finally being talked about. And that's the important thing. And it's getting people to think. And like what you just said, that's a lesson in itself. This ain't our dough yet, you know?
There's no money.
No.
We're $36 trillion in debt. We're spending $3 trillion in a year while taking in tax revenue 1 point something trillion.
Right.
This is not real money yet.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, what's happening to our tax dollars? We're not borrowing more. That's what's happening to our tax dollars.
Right.
That's for the love of God. All right, we've got a minute left, so we're going to cover this last one. J.D. Vance gave a speech to Europe the other day, and literally Europe is quaking in their boots over it because he pointed out that they're not just, it's not just immigration that is causing their culture, is they're losing their sense of freedom of speech.
Yes.
And Europe has never really had a freedom of speech, but that is deteriorating, even that is deteriorating at a rapid pace. And it should scare you. These a lot talk about, extremists, political extremists, but putting people in jail for memes, putting people in jail for insulting someone. In Germany, you can literally be put in jail for calling someone a penis.
Jeez.
So Alexander,
I've been called worse.
Thank you. We are out of here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody in there for working so hard. Thank you for watching us. Have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.